everybody, and welcome to The Very Worst, a podcast that is only about all of the Pokemon movies. I am Matt Aucamp.
I'm Pat Reber.
And I'm Ashleigh Stoneman.
Today we're here to talk about Wishmaker Jirachi, the sixth Pokemon movie.
Is it Wishmaker Jirachi?
Is it the
or
sixth?
Jirachi Wishmaker.
Oh, it's the sixth. It's our seventh, but it's the sixth. Jirachi Wishmaker or Wishmaker Jirachi. Depends on whether you're reading it upside down.
Who cares?
What?
Wow.
This was a fun one. I must not be understanding you correctly because of the accent you picked up while you were in jolly England. But I think you said, who cares? Is what it sounded like.
Yeah, I honestly, I know that the both of you enjoyed this movie and I did not. And I think the
Spoilers.
problem I've discovered is I just don't like Pokemon.
You know what? That's very fair. That's incredibly fair. And enjoyed's a strong word.
We'll get into it. This one was fun.
Okay, that's a little strong. Fun strong.
Also, we should say today, we're recording this the day before Election Day.
Oh, yeah, I hope everything's okay.
I hope you guys are all right. I hope we're all right at this point in the future when you're hearing us.
Find out next episode.
So let's do this. If everything is okay... Yay, we did it!
Woo, we're alive.
If everything went as bad as it could possibly go, I'm so sorry. I
haven't prepared for that.
I'm so sorry. At least you can take solace in knowing that there's at least 151 of your best friends hidden behind a movie screen. And one of them is here to make your wishes come true. Ooh. That's right, Jirachi Wishmaker is the movie we're talking about today. Let's start with first impressions. Ashleigh, what's your first impression of this movie before we talk about it at all? How did you feel?
Honestly, this one wasn't as tormenting as the others. It wasn't like it wasn't as much torture as the other ones were. Like if I like this one more than the others, basically. I don't know. I don't know what it was about it, but it was a little more interesting than any of the others.
I agree. I think it got kind of slow towards the end, but I think overall, I found this one to be one of the more enjoyable ones. Like the whole time I felt fairly entertained. There was very little that made me infuriated. And, well, actually, I think there was nothing that made me infuriated, but there was very little that made me angry or upset. There was a lot of weirdness, like always, and there's, like, plenty of shit to make fun of, but, like, I thought this was just kind of, like, a very solid, linear story about a cute little thing.
Right.
I thought it was boring. It didn't take any chances, and a lot of it just didn't make sense. The past movies also didn't make sense, but they were at least making some very bold story choices. And I found that I prefer batshit crazy story writing to bland story writing.
To just like safe, could be part of the television show stories.
Yeah.
Well, something that I tend to do with these is because they're children's films, I try to find like what the moral of these movies could be. In order to justify putting your child in front of something for an hour and a half. So this one in particular, I was searching for like, okay, what the fuck kind of moral can you draw out of this? But which I think was like, be careful what you wish for is the only thing that came up, which is what the narrator said at the beginning.
Oh, right, because it does open up with that, right? So, and why don't we just use that to get into the... Why don't we use that as our springboard to get into the movie?
It's time for a transition.
Okay. So there's a new narrator this time. Did you guys notice that?
There is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, his voice is different.
Yeah, he's trying real hard to be old narrator, but he is not.
But he is not. He does not live up to old narrator.
No.
Less fun. And that beginning narration, what the fuck was up with that? It was a bunch of shots from other movies, and I guess the TV show, and he was explaining shit that a lot of it doesn't really apply to this movie.
Yeah, I think this was just to recap, like, hey, you've seen other Pokemon movies with legendary Pokemon in them. Get ready for one more in a series of 8.
Right, and this is at the point where it was DVD only. So do they need this? Is anybody buying this DVD and needs explained to them what a Pokemon is?
No, but also the entire opening was kind of weird because the narrator, is the narrator secretly Brock?
Oh, is it like a Wonder Years sort of thing?
I
This is
don't
Brock
know because something
deep into the future, recounting his childhood.
Because it sounds normal,
he does
and then he
say
just
something in this.
yeah. In the opening, that's just kind of like it threw me for a second because it's just kind of weird. He just kind of like throws it in there, where he says they're on a search for Pokemon and to meet lots of girls.
To meet lots and lots of girls.
Lots and lots
Yes,
of
that's
girls.
What he says.
And that is a direct
Yeah.
Brock quote.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, now we know that the narrator is on the side of complicity as well. If I can say, when the narrator is just showing us shots of previous legendary Pokemon,
Yeah.
Mewtwo is looking very sharp. He looks like he's doing all right. He is on top of some like gothic-looking rooftop, wearing a very nice scarf that's blowing in the wind behind him. He's got like a slight smug smile on his face. I'm glad he's doing all right.
He's sort of Batmaning it.
Yeah, he's brooding, but in like he's still got a little grin.
The intro was so long, I wrote down in my notes, is the whole movie like this with 2 very harshly drawn question marks after it?
He says, these tales have survived the test of time, which is insane to me. It's been 5 years max.
Yeah.
And no one's watching Pokemon 2000 anymore.
Except for us, 15 years. This
Yeah,
movie is
yeah.
15 years old, you guys.
Great.
So he ends his little thing with saying, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
Right.
That does come back up. I thought that's such this like insane cliche that I doubt it has any relevancy to this movie.
Yeah, any real life application.
Yeah, but like you said, Ashleigh, I think that is sort of like the biggest lesson of this movie.
Well, I think they have to find some justification for all of this. Like, hey, yeah, there's nothing for your kid. Like, there's nothing substantial in here to teach your children, except and they have to throw in this is like a arbitrary little tidbit, just like, but it has a moral.
But be careful what you wish for, and friends are good.
Right.
Like every Pokemon movie, the main point is friends are good. Wasn't the whole point of Spell of the Unknown, the NT movie, wasn't that? Be
Yeah.
careful what you wish for also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so Enya and this is another movie about wishes being granted.
So we open up, actually, right after the narration, we open up on our heroes.
A brand new game.
Yeah.
It's Ash and Brock and a little girl and some nerd boy.
Yeah, it was Cousin Oliver looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this fucking Chicken Little doing?
Another Tracy kid.
Yeah, your glasses are half your face, kid. Come on.
Yeah, who the fuck are these kids?
He's talking. The first thing he says too is like, "Oh, we have to wait 23.6 hours." Like he is just. You didn't need to add a nerd to all this.
Right. Yeah, there was enough. Also, he doesn't just say like, that'll be 20. He says it like, it'll be 22.8. Like he's like, it's like the actor is holding its nose. I have this feeling that the person who voices Ash holds their nose and does a high-pitched voice to voice
That might be
this
actually
little boy.
true.
Where he's like, I'm gonna punch everything. Well, maybe you shouldn't punch everything, Ash. And like, that's it.
Misty is gone too, which means her best Pokemon, Psyduck, is most likely also gone.
Oh no!
I know.
We're not gonna get any more first appearances of Psyduck.
Well, we'll see. Maybe there's an appearance in this one. We'll find out.
Okay, we'll find out. So we find out that these four. It's a gang of 4 now. They're going to a festival, and Ash has new gloves
And a new hat.
And a new hat.
Does
And
he
I
need
don't
a new
like
vest as well?
Yes. What do you not like about his new hat?
I don't know. It's not. It's too early 2000s. I think
It looked
It's
like-
too early aughts, like an extreme design.
It looked like somebody very early on in the computer era tried to draw the Power On logo from memory, like without having had seen it 1,000 times.
I miss his old classic timeless trucker cap.
Yeah.
Now he's wearing some hat with a bunch of black on it and neon green, and
He's trying to be cooler.
looks like a tag. Somebody tagged his hat.
He's trying to be cooler, I think, because he's I think he's trying to be the older brother to this Max fellow. We haven't learned his name yet at this point in the movie, but his name's Max. And I think he's trying to, like, there's a couple points in this movie where Ash is starting to take on this, like, older brother feel.
He's passing the torch.
Yeah. So they're going to find this festival, and I stopped paying attention for a second, and I thought an entire town was missing. But I think they just got there early.
Yeah. They get there early. They a day before the comet appears. They're there to see a comet, and there's a carnival that comes to town along with the comet, which builds itself up overnight as they're sleeping.
Right, and there's the carnival that comes to town, and everybody knows it, even though the comet only comes by every 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So this carnival troupe must not get a lot of business. So the narrator says some shit, and it says their true role will be far greater than they had ever dreamed. So they're still on their bullshit. They're still on their over dramatic, hyping everything up bullshit. So yeah, while they're sleeping outside in sleeping bags, which I guess is how they do, the festival rolls in and wakes them up, and I don't know, it's actually kind of cool to watch.
Well, I gotta say, I would be pretty mad. The carnival itself looks like a lot of fun, but I would be mad if I had hiked out to a desolate mountain area to see a comet that you only see once every 1,000 years, and then all of a sudden a carnival comes and lights up the sky instead.
I do have a new favorite character, though.
Who?
Better than Brock, who we all hate now, and better than the Pokemon hunter.
Is it the Great Butler?
No.
No.
Is it Diane from Cheers?
It's not Diane from Cheers. It is, I call him Big Muscle Mullet Man. And he has big muscles, and you only see him for a second. He has big muscles and a mullet, and he's wearing like a cowboy vest and like a weird Native American like headband around his hair.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's selling comet hysteria.
Yeah, so we meet him a little later, but right now, as they're pulling and setting up the carnival, we just see him for a second, and I'm like, oh, goody. I'm like rubbing my hands together, and I'm like, I want more of this man. And we do not get enough of this man, but we do get some more of this man.
I will say that his appearance is so striking. I thought for sure he was going to have like a really predominant role in this movie, and I was so excited. I was so excited.
You know what I thought? The first thing I thought was, I want to see this man tongue kiss a Pokemon. So if you want to at very worst spot on Twitter.
Yeah, at the very worst
We don't
spot.
know his name, but take a look at this guy and please,
Oh yeah,
Photoshop.
guys, please
You know
search
what you're
this
supposed
person.
to do.
Yes.
Whenever we see somebody cool, you know what you're supposed to do with it.
So I did think this guy was going to play some part until I saw the magician come out of his trailer, and immediately you can tell that this is going to be a major player.
Yeah, he pops out. He's fancy as hell, and he's got purple hair going everywhere.
Wearing a white tuxedo.
He appears to be a white tuxedo with like a lobster bib popping out of it. And he appears to be doing real magic with a magic wand. What the fuck was up with that? He pops out of this car, and
Matt,
a bunch of...
Those are illusions. None of
He's
it's
doing
real
them
magic.
for nobody in the middle of the night.
He is. Well, this is fascinating. He's just building the carnival tent. He's
Using a magic wand.
But they use magic tricks to build it. They're just inflating it.
These big pink balls that bounce around, and he uses his wand to make them bounce around. And then there's a lady in red with fans who's like a stone cold smoke show.
That's right. She looks a lot like Shelley Long, I would say.
Yeah, she does. This is a
Shelley
good
Long
pull. Good pull.
From Cheers.
And the pink balls, they pop, they turn into the these weird machine structures that build the carnival themselves. And then suddenly it cuts to the carnival. And immediately Brock starts hitting on another woman in the bumper cars.
In the bumper cars. This explains why they walk all the time, because he is driving and manages to smash himself through the windshield of a bumper car.
Because he's too busy hitting on a woman in another bumper car. Like, could you imagine having to walk back to your friends and be like, guys, I just got catcalled from a bumper car.
It was hot.
Then they go to see this.
Actually, before we get to that, they are walking around and eating what I'm almost sure was chocolate corn dogs. Like corn dogs, but the corn crust is chocolate.
Whoa. Okay, so you think there's a hot dog in the center of a chocolate dough?
Yes.
That sounds fascinating,
All right,
actually.
It's been a while since we got a food item on our.
I know. I gotta write it down now because when
menu.
we do our
write
Pokemon
that on our list. So
feast.
okay, guys, so our Pokemon feast now is including a chocolate donut encrusted hot dog.
Yeah, so it's gonna be Lazy Boy No Chew Stew, Lazy Boy Milk Chew Stew,
Spicy
pizza pancakes.
Spicy pizza pancakes. What's the other thing, like party cake? What is it?
Some sort of cake.
Some kind of party cake, and then a chocolate corn dog. This is gonna be the worst stomachache any of us have ever.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
So then they go to see this magician doing his magic thing. And we find out his name is the Great Butler.
The Great Butler.
Which is a fantastic name.
For a butler.
This guy's a great butler.
He is doing very mediocre magic tricks, especially in comparison to pulling out a wand to build the tent.
Yeah,
exactly.
Clearly this guy can do real magic, but instead he's just pulling Pokemon out of hats.
Which is, you can fit, is like a Pokeball when you shrink it down. It's like the size of a quarter.
I know!
I'm not impressed that they're popping out of your hat.
Right, yeah, everyone's cheering, and it's like, okay, if that was an actual animal, I would be impressed. Or an actual little fairy woman, but no! We know Pokemon shrink down.
Yeah, they can fit in inside a square inch, and
They
his
can
hat
fit
is
in a marble. Ash is losing his mind over it, though.
Yeah, everybody is loving it.
There's one moment that's really good where the Great Butler he's got a box, and he puts a curtain over the box, and Ash goes, "Wow."
It's not even it's not even part of the magic trick. And Ash's mind is blown. Like, I never knew you could cover a box. And he turns the Pokemon into Shelley Long from Cheers. And she's holding a big rock.
A big purple, shiny, glowing rock. Yes.
Yeah, and suddenly little nerd boy hears in his head this creepy voice that's like, Wish, the star, Wishmaker, the comet. And then probably most disturbing, I wish you were here with me.
Yeah, that is creepy as hell.
Dude, if you got that as your third okay. Imagine this being like this is like Tinder, right? This kid's never met this person. This thing just starts messaging him from the ether. And it says, Wish, the star, Wishmaker, the comet, and then I wish you were here with me. Okay, imagine even if it were the first two things were normal, right? Like I was messaging you on Tinder and I messaged, "Hey, what's up? And that was number 1. Second, how's your night going? Third, before you had any chance to respond, I wish you were here with me."
You know what, Matt? Don't know how often you have used Tinder. That's not very far from the actually happen. Okay. That's so likely to actually happen because tactics get thrown, everything's thrown at the wall, okay? Spitball and everything, right? So that's like the least creepiest, weirdest thing I've ever received on Tinder, okay? So
what you were saying is you would run headlong towards it.
Run directly at the stage.
Right.
Just like this little nerd boy does, and you'd run on a stage.
If someone says, "I wish you were here with me," Can you? I'd swipe left on the rock. That's what it would. I would just unmatch the rock. Is what would happen. Immediately.
Like, yeah, this person's profile picture is a big glowing rock. And they say, I wish you were here with
First of
me.
all, don't know why I swipe right on that, but I must have been really, really desperate that day. But yeah, okay.
So this
Meanwhile,
boy,
Brock is losing his mind just because a woman appeared on stage.
yeah.
It's like, Brock, just watch the show, dude.
So yeah, this kid who we now learn his name is Max, is like, sorry, but I thought I heard a voice. And Brock is so mad that this little boy is talking to a woman, and he's not.
Yeah, he starts raging. He has a cup of something in his hand, and he is squeezing it. He's
Look around
turning
you,
bright red.
dog. There's women everywhere. Are you getting this mad about all of them?
He might.
Yeah, that's true. And like Ash goes up to pull Max back off stage, and instead the magicians put them both into a burning box. That's what happens next. And we see that Meowth is working the lights while Team Rocket is dancing around as clowns. And Meowth says the funniest thing Meowth has said so far. He says, "They're stuck in a dark room with impending doom and no way out. That sounds like my life."
That's right.
Poor guy.
Poor dude, because we know how bad his life is because we've seen all the Pikachu shows.
This is very true.
They put the Ash and Max in a box, and then they have a Pokemon like blast it to.
A Dusclops.
A
The fuck is a Dust? Is that a Pokemon?
Yeah, that's a Pokemon.
It's not just a mummy with one eye
I mean, it's both actually.
wearing a cape.
So Dusclops hyper beams the box, and we see they get like dropped into a weird chute, and then popped back out at the top of the stage.
There's no such thing as real magic.
No.
We find out.
But
Bummer.
still, when everyone starts applauding their magic, which, Ash and Max know isn't real. They just experienced what's unreal about magic. Ash still runs on stage and starts showboating. He's like, thank you, I'm the greatest. It's like, dude, you know you didn't do anything. And then, I don't know, whatever. The Team Rocket tries to kidnap Pikachu, and then everybody blows them up in the end.
Yeah, that is the end of their. They keep appearing, but once again, that's the end of their involvement with the plot. Anyway,
They try to kidnap Pikachu, and then Ash makes Pikachu electrocute them to try and murder them again. And then they follow the plot around, but they don't do anything else ever.
Although, one thing I did notice when they're trying to make their escape here, it's not successful, but they're capturing everyone's Pokemon, and they say, you can waive our salary, we'll just accept payment in these Pokemon.
Yes.
They don't say in a very clever way, but they got these jobs. Like, they learned the skills necessary to Meowth to be able to gaff, and Jesse and James to be able to do clowning and high rope acrobatics, apparently. Just to get, they're working hard right now.
Yeah, they had to learn some extra skills because they're not actually part of Team Rocket. They have to do something. There's something they had to teach themselves, weird acrobatics, because they don't have the actual equipment or technology. Every single one of these movies further proves the theory that they are just some crazy delusional lunatics who are just, they think they're a part of Team Rocket. And
Also,
yeah, I agree.
Is there still a Team Rocket? We find out in this one that now there's a Team Magma. Does Team Rocket still even fucking exist?
So did Team Rocket dissolve and now it's Team Magma, or is this a separate team?
There's literally no way of knowing.
I don't know. If Team Rocket dissolved, they didn't tell Jesse and James and Meow, which is still entirely possible.
They wouldn't, yeah. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. If we can go back one more... another thing about this Team Rocket interaction is that was the day is saved by the Great Butler, who turns to his Pokemon to help him save the day and says, "Now, Dusclops, CAPYTATA!"
Yeah, he does say CAPYTATA. He says a bunch of real moves, like he says Hyper Beam, and he says like...
Wait, is CAPYTATA...
Is it a real
is that
move?
a
What
real-
the fuck is
Yeah, what
CAPYTATA?
Is
Yeah.
it just a magic word? Like abracadabra?
CAPYTATA.
CAPYTATA.
CAPYTATA, one
he's
and
a
all.
magician.
So, after the show, our heroes go and they talk to Diane and Butler.
Who does, I gotta say, look kind of like a young Ted Danson. He's got the hair of Sam from Cheers, except that it's purple. He's got like the square jaw. He dresses sharply. He could be
We're seeing a theme here, huh?
Sam and Diane here.
He tells them all about the Millennium Comet and how inside this rock is a Pokemon named Jirachi, who only awakens once every 1,000 years when the Millennium... Well, after 2 rules are observed. Number 1, there's a Millennium Comet.
Right.
Number 2, he has a friend.
And he has, as Butler explains, apparently chosen Max, the little nerd boy, as his friend. And tells him right in front of Ash, too. Ash doesn't show it, but you can tell he is bubbling inside over not being the chosen
friend.
Yeah. This is the first time that Ash hasn't just immediately been the star of the show and been friends with something.
Right.
By the way, guys, CAPYTATA is a suborder of Hydrozoa, a class of marine invertebrates belonging to the phylum Cnidaria.
What?
I don't know. I think it's like a seaweed.
Okay. So what? Wait, oh, I'm so confused. I don't care.
CAPYTATA is like a seaweed or like a coral.
I don't care.
So, you know what else I noticed? May also wears gloves. We don't know her name yet, but her name's May, the girl.
Yeah. Okay. Is it ever explained where these two come from?
I'm sure in the TV show, but
They just
watching them.
randomly appear and we killed off Misty. Is that what happened?
Well,
So Misty's
Maybe.
dead.
Ash references Misty later.
Right.
I believe. I have a guess that Ash is talking about Misty later. This clearly, guys, it's time for us to acknowledge out loud that what we are doing, watching only the movies and not the TV show, was not meant to be. We are not. No one is meant to watch the movies without also watching the TV show.
It's just.
I also think you're meant to grow out of the movies after maybe 3 because they seem to be just on a cycle.
Where they keep doing the same 3 plots over and over because they expect nobody to ever watch more than 3. So they're walking around this festival. May makes fun of Max for being friends with a big rock, which is funny.
That's pretty good. It's a good break.
It's good.
They're brother and sister, right? In May and Max?
They appear to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Muscle Mullet comes back and he gives May this little he calls it a wishing star. It kind of looks like a star-shaped dream catcher.
Right.
Where there's 7 tines on the star and all of them fold in. Yeah, to create a different star shape.
This is very important. Pay attention. This plays a huge part in the movie.
As just as much as Mullet Guy.
Pat is being both sincere and completely ingenuine at the exact same time. So he gives her this wishing star and tells her in his weird, insane, gruff cowboy voice. My adult girlfriend said he sounded like Sling Blade. Because he's like, this here's a wishing star. It's every night for the next 7 nights make the same wish and your wish will come true. That's what he sounds like.
It's such a complicated process. It's each night you have to make the same wish and fold down 1/7 of this piece of jewelry. And at the end of the 7 nights, as long as you haven't told anyone your wish and you've made the same wish all 7 nights and folded the thing down at the right time of night, then your wish will come true.
And he says, you know what? He says, as long as you haven't told anyone your wish, including the viewing audience, including especially if it seems like it would be at all important to your character development or interesting to the viewers at all, just make sure you don't, under no circumstances of being boring or being pointless, do you ever tell the viewers your wish. So we'll see if that ever comes back. So the Millennium, it cuts to them watching like fireworks at night. And
yes, please, if I may.
Yes.
They start watching fireworks, and the first firework is a Pikachu. The second firework is a Psyduck.
The first appearance of
Psyduck!
I forgot that Psyduck appeared here.
Mm-hmm. It's his only appearance of the movie. So not in real form, but his visage was written in the sky.
That's his only appearance in the movie?
Yep.
So do you want to head out, or do you want to stick around for the rest of the podcast?
No, I'll stick around. I got
All right.
some time to kill.
Okay. So, Max falls asleep hugging a rock.
His sister sings him the worst lullaby imaginable.
Lullaby.
Hang on. Let me read the lyrics of this lullaby to you. Do 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 do.
And she sings like an idiot. She's like do 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 do. She sings like a John Worster character. That is a fucking deep reference that only me and Ashleigh get.
Yes.
My guess is that they had a whole lullaby written out in Japanese and were just too lazy to write one in English.
That is so good.
They did a direct translation, and it directly translated to, like, I lick your butthole. And so they were like, well, we can't use this. We could write a new one, but we're behind schedule already. This was supposed to come out in the year 2000, so it would make sense, and we're 3 years late.
It sounds like they wrote a placeholder song so they could write a lullaby later. And then recorded the placeholder with the full cast.
So May makes a wish and she doesn't tell anyone what it is, including us. And it's like, all right. So while she's singing, the rock starts glowing and you hear the star. The star is calling. And Brock says, it's telepathy.
He knows.
He knows. He knows what telepathy is, and so does everybody fucking else. All the Pokemon can do it. Like, so many Pokemon can do it. And then we see an Absol staring at some glowing rocks, and he says, Absol.
Absol.
And then it cuts back away. And we're
He's
okay.
clearly disapproving of the situation.
He's not happy with something, and he says Absol to, like, just some rocks. Not the glowing rock that we're friends with. What happens here? Jirachi appears.
Jirachi, yeah, but busts out of the rock.
And he's sleeping in a little sleeping bag made of his own body.
Yeah.
And
Then it unravels. And all this loose skin is just hanging from his neck.
it's true. And he starts, while he's waking up, he's telepathically communicating his waking grunts into people's heads. Like, when you wake up and you're like, he wasn't making those noises as just a physical manifestation of his stretching or his lungs adjusting to his, to like a different way of breathing. He was faking those noises and projecting them into people's brains. Jirachi, what the fuck?
It is, so to his credit, it's very disarming. It's like, oh, here's a little baby waking up.
Little guy? He is fucking cute.
He is really
He
cute.
is a cute ass
Yeah,
Pokemon.
He's a very good
Looks like a
Pokemon.
baby wearing a giant cartoon bonnet.
That's true. And he's got a little slit on his tummy that you don't know what it is till later.
Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing really gross.
No.
I just can't... Okay, does Jirachi also burp and fart in people's heads? Like, does he just
I would
make
imagine
up...
so.
Does he just make up for all his lack of bodily functions by just telepathically communicating it into people's heads?
Possibly.
Like, he doesn't make physical noise in the movie at all, ever,
Yeah.
right? When he screams, he does it telepathically. When he grunts or yawns, he does it telepathically. Anyway.
Might not even have a mouth.
Does he have a mouth? He does have a mouth because he smiles a lot.
I can't remember.
And then Butler and Diane from Cheers say, "Hey, you guys can camp out in our bus." Which, again, just drives home this fact that fucking Ash has been homeless for so long. He sleeps in Pokemon centers or out on the ground or in whatever bus he can if he stumbles into an adventure where he's suddenly important. Like,
Sleeping on our carny bus is a step up from what you're doing.
This is why Ash has to be important, right? Like, we're like, why does Ash become important so often? And it's because he has to, because it's the only way he gets a place to sleep. So then they're on the bus and they're talking to Jirachi, and Butler does a villainous laugh somewhere, right? Like he talks to Diane and he's like,
something vaguely
it's all
like
going according to plan.
We're gonna put on. Wait, how does? I think I wrote it down.
Okay.
It says, Jirachi will be the star of our greatest show, and then a bunch of like torture equipment just rises out of the stage.
Yeah. It's a real good, this guy's going to be a villain moment.
Yeah.
And then they're on the bus and they're talking to Jirachi and about how Jirachi makes wishes come true.
So Max wishes for a bunch of candy because Sriracha can grant wishes.
Sriracha can grant wishes. And so Max is a fucking nerd and all he cares about is candy.
Exactly. So Sriracha says, here you go, and starts granting the wish, and opens up like a light portal in the ceiling. But what's going on is that there's a stand in this carnival, and it's filled with concession treats and stuff like that. And he just starts sucking those treats.
He starts shoplifting.
So shoplifting. So taking all of that stuff. Here's the thing: Sriracha doesn't take candy.
This is the first thing that falls out of that portal?
It's crackers?
It says crackers on it.
And like nachos.
Cheese
and
puffs.
Like cheese puffs. Chips. Anything that is not candy goes up into the portal and down into the bus.
Zero candy.
They probably called candy a very different thing
in the Japanese version
1,000 years ago.
Well, like in the Japanese version, you think like they said snacks because like he takes everything but candy, steals from this poor concession stand vendor
who panics that he's gonna go bankrupt.
It's like, oh, okay, this is fine, all right, and just disappears all of his merchandise, drops into the bus, and Max screams, "Yay! Thanks for the candy!" Nope, not one drop. There is no candy in that bus.
Max is one of those kids whose parents never let him have candy.
Yes.
So he does think that like whole wheat crackers are candy.
Not only that, but like it's filled with like saltine crackers and cheese puffs.
I love Pat's theory that 1,000 years ago they didn't have candy. All they had was prepackaged crackers. In the year
sounds solid.
1003, they had Nabisco crackers, but they didn't have Kit Kats.
Because it's a long process making a Kit Kat. I don't know. I personally didn't notice that there was no candy there. I had just instead of reading the labels on food packaging in a movie I'm watching, just assumed that they were throwing candy at us. The bus starts filling with it, and all I could think was, this would be a good death.
Being buried in candy in a carny bus.
Yep.
Okay, I have another thing. Do you think Sriracha also doesn't know what candy is? And so they just thinks like candy food and just grabs anything and just throws it into the bus?
That actually is a really good point. Sriracha probably does not know what candy is.
Right.
He hasn't been alive. He's been in a coma for 1,000 years.
Right.
What did people eat as treats 1,000 years ago? Like dirt that had been in the sun? Yeah. Is that it? Like most people were eating dirt from a cave, but if you ate dirt from that was warm because of the sun, that was your treat.
Yeah,
Right.
straight up fruit, I think, just like regular old fruit.
Grass you had rubbed on a toad. Like, what did people eat 1,000 years ago that was like
That's
a tree?
if you want to get high.
Like a tree branch.
Right.
Just that. A tree branch with somebody's blood on it. I don't know. What did people eat 1,000 years ago?
So also, this is also setting up the be careful what you wish for, because apparently when Sriracha grants wishes, he just steals from other things and just destroys other things in order to grant that wish.
Guys, do you remember what the next wish is? I'll give you a hint. It's Brock's.
Girls.
Let's get lots of girls.
Pussies.
I wish for girls.
I want so
wish-
many girls.
Brock pulls a good move here because everybody is just arguing about what they think they should wish for. Like, they're like, oh, maybe if I wish for this, it'll be a good idea for everybody else. And they're just going back and forth about that. And Brock just jumps right in and he's like, I wish for girls.
I wish for lots of... Brock, you live on Earth. There are lots of girls on Earth. What do you think you're gonna do? Okay.
But here's the thing.
You could go to the mall and there's gonna be lots of girls. You could go to a concert. There's gonna be there's a million places you can go where you're gonna have a lot of girls nearby you. If Jirachi teleports a lot of girls into this bus, you don't know what the fuck you're gonna do. You're gonna
just stand there
fall
and jizz in
over
his
and
pants.
turn red and smash your face on a wall. Yeah, come on, man. You're not gonna do. What are you gonna do if you get lots of girls?
Also, they just found out that Jirachi doesn't actually grant wishes. They just teleport things from one place to where you are now, which means when you wish for lots of girls, these women are going to be terrified. You're just taking them from whatever they're doing at, 11 o'clock at night?
Yep.
Immediately, Brock is like, yeah, I would kidnap. Like, that is what he's decided in this moment.
He's a predator, dude.
Yeah.
Like 100%. He doesn't give a shit.
The only reason I wish that Jirachi had granted his wish is that Jirachi might have brought Misty back, and this movie could have been
A lot better.
so, like, I could have cared about somebody in it. I want to say by this time, like, I hate Max because, like, he's a fucking nerd and I want to punch him in his big, dumb, chicken little glasses, but I also kind of like Max.
Yeah, he's much like Cousin Oliver.
I kind of like him a lot.
Just, cute.
You want to, like,
kid.
put him in a garbage disposal, but also you like him a lot. All right, what were you going to say, Ashley?
Well, the moment's kind of passed.
Yeah,
but
can
I
you
thought,
top that?
Okay,
I
pass.
said I wanted to put a little boy in a garbage disposal.
There is one more really good moment in this wishing scene where once May, who seems to be the sensible one, figures out that they're doing something wrong, they're stealing all this candy from somebody, she says, Jirachi, I wish that you would clean up
rid of
this-
the problem.
Yeah, get rid of the problem. And Jirachi looks her right in the eye and goes, get rid of the problem? Okay. And then teleports her away. It was quite a burn.
The mystery of whether they return the snacks or not is left up in the air as it becomes the next morning.
The proprietor's just like weeping over his lost business.
Yeah,
true.
another casualty of the Pokemon movies.
There's Jirachi telepathically grunts in everyone's head, and we find out that Ash and Brock in the meantime have learned how to clown. Like, I've met clowns. You have to, like, study for years to do this. And Ash and Brock apparently picked it up between the middle of the night when we last saw them and the first thing in the morning, which is now. We see that Team Rocket are still floating around, being useless. We see that Absol is staring at the festival now, saying Absol at it. And they're all, like, our heroes are helping to set up some stuff in the carnival and stuff.
And so there's a moment here where I thought this movie was going to take a really cool, creepy turn.
Me too.
Where May and Max are lifting up a shelf, and
That is falling. That's falling on May.
yeah. And Jirachi is bored because they don't like working, so they just steal Max's glasses to be like, "Hey, you can't catch me. We're playing a game here."
And Max is like, "Not now. I'm. This is like busy. This is dangerous."
Yeah, and I thought that's where this movie was going to go for a second. I thought
too.
it was going to be some weird, like, creepy, this Pokemon won't leave them alone and only ever wants to have fun, and maybe a message about how, like, sometimes you got to do work too, or else everything goes awry.
But then, just some Pokemon attacks.
Yeah,
and they fight it.
there's no consequences.
Yeah, Max runs away giggling, and a Pokemon attacks, and they fight it.
Yeah.
So Absol jumps in here and attacks. And we learn from, I think, Butler, that Absol only appears before a great tragedy.
Oh, right.
Like a watcher.
Oh, shit,
Weird.
yeah.
Like a bad omen.
May and Ash attack it with Torchic and Pikachu. And then Jirachi teleports them like 100 feet into the air for some reason.
Yeah.
And then they catch Absol in a cage with like a trap door that's just there, and Butler's like, magician always has a trap door nearby. Always, Butler?
Really?
A magician always has a trap door nearby?
Always. When's the last time you
do.
met a magician who did not have a trapdoor nearby?
Yeah, it's like never yell at a magician because they'll just drop you through a trap door.
Yeah.
Magicians and Monty Burns always have a trap door nearby.
True.
Great Butler catches this Absol in a cage through this trapdoor, and then uses one of his Pokemon. What's that weird, like, it's like a mix between a flower and a rabbit?
Kirlia.
Yeah, that. He has that Pokemon use hypnotism on the Absol, and Absol goes to sleep for, I don't know, about 2 minutes because it's barking again before the end of the scene.
What do you guys think about Absol as a Pokemon?
Absol.
I like it.
It's I've never been able to tell if I think Absol is cool or lame. Like, it's kind of like trying to be the cool Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a real tryhard.
But is it kind of cool?
Nah, it's basically its face is like a yin yang symbol, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's got the one black horn going up and the one white horn going down. It almost looks like a cool steering wheel. Like if Spencer's sold steering wheels, that's what this animal's face would look like.
I think without those horns, it would look so much cooler. Just like a white and
black and white fox.
kind of like the forest spirit from Princess Mononoke a little bit.
Hey, good pull. Yeah, you're right. Well, holy shit.
I always wanted to like Absol. People that like Absol seem happier than I am.
Really? So you've been comparing your notes? Like, hey, who's your favorite Pokemon? Absol.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have a good life, I guess.
It's like people who like Star Trek. They all seem to really have fun with it, and I just can't. I'm not there. So they all go to sleep. May pulls out her thing, makes her wish. But while she's making her wish, she spies Butler being a real shade ball.
That's right. He is stealing Jirachi.
Stealing Jirachi? Takes it into a
Jumanji.
tent. Steals Jumanji.
Steals
takes
Jumanji.
it into a tent, puts it into a pie tin, and it looks real sinister.
And then he starts just reminiscing about his past.
He talks about how Absol is here to take Jirachi back to Farina, which my adult girlfriend told me is what cream of wheat is. Cream of wheat is apparently a grain called Farina.
No. I didn't know that. That's news.
Me neither. Now we all know that. And then there's a flashback.
So it turns out that and this is kind of a weird twist on a mad scientist origin story. This guy is trying to clone some crazy cool Pokemon. Groudon, which sounds scary as hell.
Which you guys kind of don't know this, right? Your Pokemon knowledge doesn't extend to this, but that is Team Magma's whole thing, right?
Is that their mission? That
Yes.
They're looking for a Groudon?
To revive Groudon and use it to reshape the earth.
So this guy, Great Butler, is rejected by Team Magma. He is a scientist that's like, oh, I figured out how to clone this Pokemon and bring it to life, which is outside of the movie is kind of like a big deal. You know, we've seen we've seen cloned Pokemon before.
Yeah. You're saying. They just keep reusing the same concepts, expecting nobody watched all the movies.
That this guy needs to speak to Mewtwo. He needs to get some tips. But he tries and fails in front of Team Magma. So he is a mad scientist that's rejected by the villains of this universe. But situationally, he's still the villain of the story, even though he's the enemy of Ash's enemy.
The enemy of my enemy is another boring enemy.
Is it 2-bit the Riddler?
So wouldn't the enemy of your enemy be your friend?
Unless both the enemy and the enemy are very boring.
Okay.
Yeah, in this case,
That's a mathematical proof. If enemy and enemy are boring, then
It equals
enemy
equals also enemy.
in this case, Great Butler is the enemy of Ash's enemy, Team Magma, but is also the enemy of Ash's friend, Pokemon.
There we go.
So I don't know what Sun Tzu wrote about that, but
Can you just say the enemy of enemy?
Enemy.
Right, your enemy. Yeah, if
My
your enemy
enemy
has an enemy.
this is like one of those buffalo.
If your enemy has an enemy, then it's your enemy.
Your enemy.
So Butler in the present reveals that he's going to use Jirachi to summon energy from the Millennium Comet to revive Groudon.
yeah, sure.
If Jirachi first has to open his tummy eye.
Oh my god.
Yes.
This is disgusting.
This little slit on his stomach that you thought was maybe just like a pouch or just like a little design. It opens up and there's a fucking eye in there, you guys. There's a
just
whole
an
eyeball.
the size of his belly.
Yeah, it's a giant eyeball, so you have to assume that his belly is full of eyeball.
Yes.
That all it is an eyeball holder. And so the eye opens, it shoots the comet shoots back, and everything explodes. Diane and Butler argue. Butler hits Diane,
Wait.
and she falls off screen. Yeah,
Jesus Christ. I forgot about that.
and then Absol escapes. Oh, in the meantime, May has gotten our heroes and been like, "Hey, something crazy's going on in here." And they run in. They see all this happen. They grab Jirachi. The heroes run away with him, and Absol runs off in a different direction. And meanwhile, Team Rocket is up in the sky watching.
Team Rocket is looking on.
And Buffett appears.
Yeah,
And
there's a really good moment where Wobbuffet just pops up. They're going back and forth doing their punny thing. Wobbuffet pops up behind them and goes, "Wobbuffet!" And
without even looking,
Jesse just pulls out a Pokeball, goes, and
shoots it over his shoulder and pulls it back into his ball. Team Rocket really, though, was weak this movie. I mean, they've been weak the past couple movies, but their banter is not funny.
Yeah, they're not on right now. They've been going through a tough time, so it may just be like, sometimes you just can't come up with that joke that you want to come up with.
Right. So
This podcast.
our heroes and Jirachi and Diane are all running away on a bus. And Butler's Mightyena chases down the bus, puts a tracking device on it, I guess.
I think it was just supposed to be a GPS, but it falls off 2 minutes later, so there's no...
Does it?
Yeah, when the bus starts bumping around, they make a point of showing Ash and Pikachu fall off the seat because they hit such a big bump.
Yeah.
And then the tracking device just falls off the back of the bus, so it's no longer there.
Okay, so the tracking device... So they put a tracking device... They go through the trouble of showing the tracking device being put on the bus. Then they show the tracking device falling off the bus. And then, spoiler alert, later, Butler just finds out where they are and shows up. So why? Why do any of that?
Dramatic effect. I don't know.
I guess.
In the meantime, Diane is recapping the plot of the movie for us.
Yes.
She says they're looking to, what do you call it, raise Groudon from, I guess,
Yeah,
the
she
depths of
repeats
hell or wherever
everything.
it comes from. and Brock just says, Groudon? Isn't that the legendary Pokemon rumored to have incredible powers? And Diane says,
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
It's
So there
really
you go.
good.
Now they know this dude is bad.
It's like Gilmore Girls level of exposition. Like they just brilliantly and seamlessly sneak the exposition into the dialogue, and you can't even tell it's there.
So Diane goes on to explain that, Great Butler has apparently gone off the deep end, but at heart he's a good dude. She's known him her whole life.
I've known him my whole life. He's fine. He hits me, but it's all right.
No, it's
because I
totally
know
cool.
He didn't mean it. And look,
He
might have
didn't mean
stolen
it.
a Pokemon and shot him with a comet's laser blast, but like he didn't mean it. He's a good guy.
Guys, we put kids in front of this.
Yeah.
Kids watch this shit. They watch it. They look at it
Yeah.
and they learn. And oh god damn it. Fuck this.
I bet somewhere in the world there's a little kid watching this movie, and when this happens to Butler, he goes, "Nice guys finish last," and it's the first lesson he ever learns.
Well, the good news is that children listen to this podcast as well, so at least they're getting a different perspective. So we get to see a flashback of Diane and Great Butler hanging out as children. And there's two things that really stuck out to me from this flashback. Number one, Diane as a child is also very impressed just from Butler putting a curtain over a box before he reveals something's under it.
Man, everyone is so. I gotta start doing this at parties. I
Put a
know
curtain
how
over
to
a
put
box.
a curtain over a. Well, maybe I don't actually. Now that I think about it, like I've never done it.
I've done it before. I've never gotten a, oh.
You've put a curtain over a box.
Yeah.
No, you did it before.
I guess I never have because
Can you stop
maybe-
yanking my curtains down?
maybe it's really hard.
Like, guys, I put those up. Stop! Don't invite Matt over to my house anymore. He's yanking my
Keep rolling
curtains off the
down
windows.
and putting him on boxes.
It's just really weird, and I wanted to stop.
He looks at the rest of the party expectantly.
Like, he looks at us like we're gonna be really impressed, and it just ruins everything.
Because he rips my curtains off the window. He puts it on a box and he goes,
Guys,
eh?
I can't buy any more curtains. He just keeps tearing them down. They're really expensive after a while.
The other thing that stuck out to me is that Butler puts a curtain over a box. Diane is very impressed. Young Diane says, "Oh, that's great, Butler." And Butler goes, "Yes, the Great Butler. Call me that from now on."
It's a good origin story. Listen. This part's just a little ditty about Butler and Diane.
Yeah.
And
Can you imagine before he got rejected by the Magma Society or whatever, he was just a well-respected scientist saying, "Oh, please call me the Great Butler."
that's right. He's not a magician. In his backstory, he's a scientist. If you reference this paper in the journal Nature by the Great Butler.
What? Also, what kind of scientist is he? Exactly. A physicist? What is it?
A magic scientist.
A magic
A
scientist.
Pokemon cloner.
Okay.
There's 2 in his field. Mew,
Oh my god.
and there was 3, but Mew killed the other one. Well, Mike won, the Great Butler, and a guy who's dead.
guy who's now dead. God damn.
Yeah, they stop for the night. May makes another wish, or the same wish, I guess. Diane laments how she misses the old butler, blames the comet for driving him insane, which just making excuses for abusive men. And Absol is watching.
So is Team Rocket, and they are eating cup of noodles. This really, I don't know why, but it stuck out to me that they just have like styrofoam cups filled with noodles that they're just shoveling it. They don't have lines here. They're just watching and eating noodles.
They're the audience surrogate at that point, right? Like, we are watching eating noodles.
I was eating mapo tofu.
Oh, nice.
I was eating stuffed shells.
Technically that's a type of noodle.
Yeah, it's a noodle.
I ate a slice of bread I found in my cupboard. That's what I was
That's
for dinner.
also technically
Came
a
home.
noodle.
It was
Technically is okay. Here's a question, guys. Can you tweet at us? Is bread a noodle?
what? No. What are you talking about?
Guys,
what
is
are you
bread
talking about?
technically?
It
Ashley,
is
stop!
not.
You're tainting our survey.
This is the thing we need to know. Is bread a noodle?
It is not. No. What are you talking about? This is nonsense.
Is
This is
peanut
more
butter and
nonsense.
jelly a sauce? Is a sandwich a lasagna?
Fuck out of here. I quit. I'm done. Get out
Okay.
of here.
Okay, we're at the halfway point of the movie. We have to keep going.
We really only halfway done. Fuck.
We get a cute travel montage where the bus gets stuck in the mud and they push it out and they hang out on the side of a river and Ash teaches Max to skip rocks.
Guys, this is actually a sweet montage. Like the scene where Ash teaches Max to skip rocks is really sweet. And there's a lot of moments in this movie that don't really pay off. Like things that interactions characters have with each other or characters have on their own that don't have anything to do with the greater plot, that they're just like little moments where it's like two people being sweet to each other.
Yeah, it's like a montage in a buddy movie,
Right?
Buddy road trip movie. It's the exact same thing you would expect. They go through they go through night 6, right? Because May makes a wish every night except for night 7,
Right.
during this montage.
Well, during this montage, there also is a moment that I want to talk about where May mentions, it's the 5th night, and May mentions that there's only 2 nights left, and Max gets really upset and runs away, and Ash sits down with him, and this is the first time Ash has done something really cool and really sweet and really good in these movies. Ash sits down next to Max, and he talks about how hard it is when somebody that you love goes away, and he says that a friend of his went away, which I guess was him talking about Misty.
She died
and
then?
he says, your friend's, I don't think she died, but I don't know, but I'm guessing not.
It sounds like she chose to leave.
Yeah. And he
Unless
says,
he's talking about that piece of shit Tracy.
fuck him.
Fuck.
Ash says, friends go away, but part of them stay with you. And he sits next to Max and just stares out with him. And, like, it's really sweet. Like, Ash, as bad of an adventurer and a Pokemon trainer as Ash is, he's, like, a really good older brother figure.
Yeah. He's going to be another Professor Oak, a mentor to
The younger generation.
Yeah.
Good.
So they arrive at Farina, and, guys, Farina is a place? Like, up to this point, I think in this podcast I've mentioned that Farina is a place, but up to this point in the movie, they kept saying how, like, they need to get Jirachi back to Farina. They took Jirachi away from Farina. I assumed Farina was a person.
Oh, I thought it was a planet. That's
So they get to this place, and it's the place where all the rocks were that Absol was yelling at the beginning of the movie.
Oh.
it's
And it's a big verdant forest with, like, rocks jutting up. Apparently it's based on some forest in China that's really nice looking. So they're walking through this incredibly, like, verdant forest that is Farina, and there's another one. Remember in the last movie when they ran past a Murkrow, and instead of going like Murkrow, like instead of having like it just said Murkrow.
yeah.
They go past a bunch of Nuzleafs sitting on a tree, and they go Nuzleaf,
Nuzleaf.
Nuzleaf.
Nose-leaf.
I
Nuzleaf.
really like the Pokemon that just like lazily say their own names.
And then we meet Flygon.
Yeah.
Flygon.
Which is what the fuck?
Flygon.
They're getting worse. It
This-
is a dragon that flies like all dragons do, so
Yes.
they call it a Flygon. This is just it's a dragon with bug eyes. And I guess the word dragonfly was taken, so this was the next best thing.
But no Pokemon's name will ever be worse than Why Not?
Why not?
None.
Why?
Why Not was the worst.
Why? Why not?
So it's their last night with Jirachi, and they're all going to sleep. And this is another one of those cute little moments that doesn't pay off, but it's just like sweet and like reminds you of childhood, where Max goes under they're like, you have to go to bed, Max, and he's like,
Yeah, everybody's getting sick of Max and his new friend
he's like,
Jirachi.
fine, I'll go to bed. And then he climbs under the covers with Jirachi, and he's like, once they fall asleep, we'll get up and play. But then they just fall asleep.
Yeah, I thought for sure this is where the plot develops.
Yeah.
Where Jirachi and Sam just go off by themselves, or Jirachi and Max just go off by themselves.
But no, they all fall asleep because she does the terrible lullaby again.
Yep.
Do, 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 do.
This time, an orchestra joins her.
Then it's the next morning. Absol shows up, and he leads the way completely unceremoniously. They've only ever fought Absol up to this point, but he shows up, and they're all like, "Ooh, Absol's here!" And then Diane's like, "Absol's leading the way," and they all follow him. It's like, all right,
Enemy, my enemy.
fucking fine, whatever. Yeah, it's the enemy of my enemy of my enemy at this point. It's my enemy.
They got too confused, so they were like, just follow him. See where this takes us.
As they're walking through Farina, all the Pokemon gather to welcome Jirachi home, and they enter a giant cave, and Jirachi looks hypnotized, and he's like, the star, it calls me. He's like back to being creepy, I guess.
He talks about how he has to open his true eye, which
Yeah.
is that weird fucking
Oh, Jesus
giant
Christ,
eyeball
yeah.
on his belly.
Right. And Max says, I wish you didn't have to go so we could stay together forever, which is creepy.
Yeah.
We learn that every 1,000 years, Jirachi opens this gross eye. It sucks all the energy out of the Millennium Comet, and then he sleeps for 1,000 years while the energy from the comet seeps into the earth and makes Farina green or whatever.
Yeah, just makes it possible.
How did anyone discover this?
They really do have a great accounting of a thing that happens every 1,000 years.
Right.
Right.
And a thing that should be a scientific marvel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? If it, like, there's this one rock that has a living being inside it that sucked its energy from a comet and then is feeding every tree in a 20-mile radius. They know this is true. Scientists should be here day and night, round the clock, trying to figure out how to harness this energy and end all starvation in the world.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is spoken about throughout the movie like a legend. Legend has it that every 1,000 years.
But 1,000 years
all
ago,
this-
no one knew what energy was. I mean, I get also the writers of this movie don't, but assuming that their definition is correct. Anyway, Butler shows up, grabs Jirachi, puts him in the pie tin again, and says, I'm going to revive Groudon.
And then who comes to rescue them from this cave that they're stuck in while Butler captures Jirachi? It's that guy Flygon that we
Flygon.
just met. They're friends
Flygon.
now.
It's our good friend Flygon. You know what? This moment did really drive something home for me, like, that is interesting. I think there is an interesting idea being discussed in these Pokemon movies that I maybe hadn't. I'd maybe been like looking over for a while. And it's this idea of like most of these villains are people who have been driven insane by just the mere fact that there are magical creatures in this world, right? So you have somebody like Ash, who we keep talking about how he's unremarkable, but he's a guy who has it fully in context. Like, these are magical creatures that are incredibly powerful, but they're my friends, and I love them, and they deserve a good life. Like they are their own creatures. But all the villains keep being these people who think of Pokemon as like commodities or objects
Right.
or like items of value or items that give them power.
Right.
And just like nuclear weapons or great wealth or something, like people or Jafar.
Right.
People keep being driven crazy by just their the mere existence of Pokemon. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, or how they can turn a profit, not necessarily like financial gain, but any sort of benefit to them, like through means of access, like ruling the world, or yeah, you're right. You bring up a good point.
Right, and that's relevant to our modern world, right? Again,
Yeah,
like in terms
100%.
of money or organized crime or political power or
So, do you think Pokemon are a metaphor for nuclear arms? Or
yeah, all we have to do is make friends with. This is where the metaphors fall apart, right? Like it's the same as like the boxing metaphor.
Well, no,
where you
it's-
just make friends with your fists. This one, if you just make friends with nuclear bombs, like
well, it's more like seeing them in context. It's or seeing wealth in
Right.
context as less of a commodity to be collected and hoarded, and more of something to be spread. And
Right.
it uses a
It's
benefit for everyone else.
how like nuclear fission
I mean-
can be used to create electricity for people cheaply and efficiently and relatively clean energy for people rather than but if
also-
you look at it wrong, you
Right.
think this is a powerful destructive weapon.
Right, but also the other place where this metaphor falls apart is that Ash still uses them for battle.
The thing he does to be friends
He's
with them
like,
is
yeah,
make
we're all
them
friends,
fight
but
each other.
he still does use his nuclear arms to battle other people.
And he uses Pikachu to try to murder human beings.
He also uses his wealth and his nuclear power for his own purposes.
You know what he doesn't do in this movie, though? It's about to really bother me.
Yes.
Because a force field appears. At this
yes,
point in the
I know
movie.
exactly what you're getting at.
He doesn't punch a goddamn thing.
Never
Not
punches once.
one thing.
No Ash punch. Ash no punch no more?
Ash, you're mentoring somebody. This is not the time to throw away your strategy.
Ash, you must punch. We're counting on you.
This is the
buddy.
quintessential Ash move.
Last movie, I talked about how much I loved Ash now because
Yes.
I just knew he would punch.
Yes.
It's
how
that new hat, man. I'm telling you.
He's let me. In this movie, he let me down. He
Thinks
let me
he's too
down.
cool
like,
to punch Steph.
Like
Maybe
like,
he's a-
seriously.
He's like he's a big brother now though. He has to be a good example.
He can't punch. Well,
He
he's got to
can't
teach
punch
Max
it.
the right way to punch.
No, but
things that are
he
unpunchable.
wants to teach Max not to be
Yeah,
violent.
he needs to teach Matt more about punch.
More punch.
Fuck Max. He needs to teach Matt about punch.
I think I don't know. I think he's growing up.
But I do think that is honestly the thing, is that Ash is becoming like a big brother figure now, and he is growing up, and so he is going to punch a lot less,
All right.
which sucks for us.
Yeah, I don't like it. Let's get him into his teen years when he punches more.
Also, Missy's not there to impress, so there's a,
Yeah, is he not into May?
I don't
Is
think
he
he's
not
into
into anybody?
He's into Sam.
Yeah, he was into Sam.
I think I really genuinely think he's still getting over Sam.
I think he was close to into that girl who was also a Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
The
from,
Pokemon, the
Latios and Latias.
Bianca.
Yeah, I think he was maybe close to being into Bianca.
Really?
But, I mean, I think Ash
How
is
so?
either bisexual or asexual. He seemed to enjoy the kiss. He was happy about the kiss.
Was
He
he?
just didn't know what to do with it.
He seemed pretty indifferent.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. He's either bisexual or asexual. And I'm leaning
Yeah,
right.
he's one of the two.
I'm starting to lean towards asexual, even though like he and Sam seem to share like the most genuine connection.
That's true.
I mean, he's still figuring it out. I think that's where we're at right now. He's 13. He's He's working it out. He'll get there.
Yeah, he'll get there. So, what happens here? A giant action sequence where Ash and Max fly around on a Flygon, and the Great Butler flies around on a Salamence, and it's just two dragons shooting fire at each other in the sky.
Two flying bird lizard Pokemon just screaming at each other. The Flygon goes rah. It doesn't say its name. It just says rah.
And Salamence goes like an actual dinosaur noise or whatever.
It's like a burp. It's like ah.
So a big Groudon drawing starts appearing on the ground. Max and Pikachu try to free Jirachi while Ash flies around fighting Butler. Jirachi wakes up. It escapes, and it's too late because the Groudon gets up and it starts attacking shit.
Seriously, they managed to get on the back of this Flygon, fly up, rescue Jirachi. Jirachi is fine. The movie could have ended there, but instead we had to raise a Godzilla made of lava.
He does look like a giant Godzilla. He starts. I have here lumbering forward like an AI Godzilla.
Yes.
He Celebi nasty nests.
He
starts walking forward and destroying the forest.
Yes, this is exactly what came to my head, but this is just a replication of Celebi's nasty nest.
The Great Butler says, that creature's not Groudon. And it starts sucking all the energy from the earth, whatever the fuck that means. It has these crazy, weird goo tentacles that start flying everywhere and grabbing Pokemon.
Sucking up all the Pokemon.
Sucks up all the Pokemon, sucks up Absol, sucks up it eats Team Rocket.
It's Team Rocket.
It eats Brock, it eats Diane, it eats May.
Oh my god. It goes to eat Diane, and at this point, Butler is in like a, oh god, what have I done state of mind.
Yeah.
And he tries to rescue Diane from being eaten. They're holding hands, and as this weird suction cup closes around her, she just goes, well, at least if I'm dying, my last vision was of you, my love, to Butler, which is really like dark and weird.
Right. Butler is so upset at the moment. And you know what he says? And he says it as serious as this sentence has ever been said. He says, I have nothing up my sleeve.
Yes.
Not now, you idiot. This isn't a show. Your girlfriend just got eat by a big monster you made. And like, before Brock gets sucked up, and we've been watching this thing suck up shit for 3 minutes at this point. And Brock says, it's sucking up all the Pokemon. Dude, we're watching the fucking movie. We've seen this. You've seen this. So it eats Brock and it eats May. It tries to eat Max and Ash and Pikachu, but Jirachi teleports them all away. Flygon grabs them, flies them away. This is just this long action sequence. I'm just going to be saying and then at this point.
Yeah. They're just running from the suction cups for a while.
Yeah.
Butler eventually explains that this can all be solved as long as they put Jirachi in the same device but reverse the polarity.
I have to reverse the polarity, you fucking... It's the Star Trek shit.
Yeah.
Why? How come in every sci-fi thing ever they have to reverse the polarity?
And then there's a point where you don't know if they're doing the thing or not because they just have to turn a bunch of switches and distract the monster in a certain way.
Yeah.
To the point where Ash has to say, our plan is working. just so we know that this is all going according to plan.
Yeah. There's stuff like somebody starts to fall off a thing and gets saved at the last second. Butler sacrifices himself to the gooey tentacles to save Jirachi.
Oh, those tentacles,
The monster bumps into the machine and it starts to fall down, but Ash grabs the last lever at the last second.
Butler also, if I can go back one moment, as he's disappearing, also being eaten up by this weird suction cup tentacle, says, at least I'll be with Diane.
Oh my god!
Again, the two of them know how to die.
They've
really been working on it.
He hit her like 10 minutes ago. They really have like a codependent,
very, very
abusive
toxic
relationship.
Yeah, well, they're traveling carnies. This is. I'm not making excuses for anybody, but it's hard to find somebody.
The monster starts melting, turning into goo, falling all over everyone. Jirachi starts glowing, pulls the monster into the air, and they explode. Again, it's just a crazy action sequence that isn't that interesting.
There's no sense to it whatsoever. It's just this. Okay, so when you kill this monster, I guess it turns into liquid. That's not made clear. And then Jirachi has the power to fly, expand within this monster's chest cavity and then float it out into the air and turn it into a firework.
It seems like every legendary Pokemon has the ability to float into the air and glow and make something explode.
Sacrifice.
Because every legendary Pokemon so far in these movies seems to do that. They teleport everyone back to Earth. Diane and Butler are reunited. Our heroes are returned. Team Rocket are on top of a big plinth. Jirachi and Max have a real touching hug. And
then everybody sings that fucking lullaby.
Jirachi's like, I have one more wish. I want you to sing that lullaby again for me.
Oh my god.
And it's like, fucking, you're gonna be asleep for 1,000 years, and the last thing you want to hear is this horrible lullaby?
Yeah, but guys, how does everyone know it by heart, having heard it once?
How did they remember all the words? Mace starts singing. Brock joins in next. He has the worst singing voice I've heard on Pokemon.
May's singing voice is garbage, though.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. But then the entire cast joins in, and it's just this torturous rendition of
doo-doo-doo
lullaby.
Of doo-doo-doo the lullaby. So they all sing as Jirachi turns back into a rock, and Max ugly cries, just tears bursting out of his eyes as his face contorts.
And then they remind May that she forgot to make the wish for the 7th night on her necklace, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I guess we're just not going to find out what this wish was."
Yeah,
and that's it. That's the end of the movie.
Well, Butler and Diane from Cheers decide.
Great Butler.
The Great Butler and Diane from Cheers decide they're staying in Farina forever. Okay. And Jirachi says in Max's head, "We'll be best friends forever and ever," which
I'll
is
never forget you.
Which is
Never
really
let go, Jack.
creepy.
Never let go.
And then it ends in what sounds like a rejected song from The Lion King. This woman wrote this song to be in The Lion King, and they were like, no.
Nah, this is a little heavy-handed for The Lion King.
And so she's just been holding on to this song, pitching it to movies ever since. And finally, Pokemon Jirachi Wishmaker was like, yeah, I like it.
Sold.
They have the closing credits. They are diagramming the stars as Pokemon, like we do with
which is kind of
different
cool.
astrology symbols.
It's like constellations, but in Pokemon as Pokemon.
Yeah, they're just as forced as our
Yes.
actual astrology
Yeah.
figures are. So
Also in the credits, we see that Muscle Mullet gives them a ride back home.
Oh yeah.
Which is cool.
Turns out to be a good guy.
Yeah.
I
love Muscle Mullet.
I
hope
really do.
He's never going to come back, but I really wish he would. I want to see a spin-off with Muscle Mullet and
Pokemon Hunter.
Pokemon Hunter.
The lost years between the 60s and now.
Yeah.
I'd buy it.
But guys, what was May's wish? She was staring. The one time she was staring at Max and Ash skipping rocks, and she looked kind of sad about it as she was making the wish. Were we supposed to assume she was wishing that Max would go away? Because she started making the wishes right after she got in an argument with him, right?
Whoa, you're right. I didn't even think of this, but for most of the movie, she's just getting sick of his behavior.
Right, and there's that one thing where Ash and Max are skipping rocks across the pond, and so I tried to Google this, right, which was a horrible mistake.
Oh, God.
I tried to Google what was May's wish, and I got a lot of results.
Oh, I can't
I
wait.
got some fanfics,
Good.
and I got a thread that all anyone would talk about was this young girl's boobs.
No.
And it was just like a anime discussion or like Pokemon World message boards. And somebody was like, she wished for bigger boobs. And somebody else was like, she wished that her boobs were awesome. Like, everyone was just like, she wished for boobs. And then people kept talking about her, like, that's all anyone was talking about on this fucking thing. And they're like, yeah, she's fucking stacked in this movie. It's like, what? She is a little girl with a little girl body. What are you talking about?
What a fucking awful... This is like
This is why I never Google Pokemon anymore.
anime bro culture.
Yeah.
But with Pokemon. With
the
most,
least broy.
Yeah, the most appealing to children anime you could do this with.
Oh, there is
Yeah.
absolutely that, anime bro. Oh, God. That disgusting sexualization of literally every character
Yeah.
in every anime. Yeah, so that's what you stumbled onto, right?
Yeah, and it sucked. It sucked. Like maybe when we rewatch this movie in 5 months or whatever, we can like dig into one of these fanfics. But if it's about sex, I am not going to do that.
Yeah, when we started a Twitter account for this podcast, I went out and just followed a bunch of Pokemon fans.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And had to unfollow a number of them
Oh
within
no.
a few days because they are sometimes disgusting people.
Yes.
Gross. Hey, people are kind of gross sometimes, huh?
There's like legit Pokemon that people want to bone too.
Yeah, there's
People
this
want to bone
one...
Gardevoir,
That's the one.
and people want to bone. There's like a bunny that people want to bone.
Ew.
So it's not just the humanoid ones. It's like
No, they're all kind of humanoid, but like, so that Kirlia who we saw in this movie, it's evolved form. People want to bone it.
But Gardevoir,
Yeah.
that's the one in particular that, like, they gave it boobs. They gave Gardevoir boobs.
Yeah.
It has
but
boobs.
what's that? What's
Yeah.
that one that looks like a singing fish? That one has boobs too. It's from the original 151.
Jinx.
Jinx.
Well, Jinx has other
Nobody wants to
problems
fuck-
because it's kind of blackface too.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. That one's fucked up. But Mr. Mime is a humanoid, and do people talk about wanting to fuck that one?
I don't think anyone wants to fuck Mr. Mime.
No one wants to
I
fuck
bet
Mr.
people want to. I bet people want to fuck Machamp though.
Oh yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. So, this was Jirachi Wishmaker. What do you guys think? Let's. How do you feel about this movie? Pat's already shaking his head, so let's start with him because I think me and Ashleigh are a little closer.
I'll say it once more. I did not like this movie. It was just like every choice they made was just a very easy choice to make in a movie, or was something that didn't pan out. There was no resolution to it. So I don't know. This one would have to be above Pokemon 2000 for me, but not very high above.
So this one is definitely like easier to follow than some of the other Pokemon movies. Like less insane, less infuriating. But you just found it boring.
It's boring and it's infuriating they make some choices that are stupid. Like that Flygon, first of all, you shouldn't have even made that Pokemon, but then you see one in the forest and all of a sudden it's your best friend and it's the thing that rescues you. Like they don't have any interaction with it. They just come across a Flygon in the wild.
And then it's like Deus Ex Flygon.
Does Ash not have Pokemon anymore of his own that he can use to get out of situations? Does he just not carry his Pokemon with him? Was there no one that could
Oh my god!
defend
Hold
him
on.
throughout this movie?
First of all, Pat, you have to acknowledge that I said Deus Ex Flygon.
Ah, damn it. I should have said that.
But second of all, Ash doesn't use his Pokemon in this movie.
Yeah. except for
True.
Pikachu.
Well, Pikachu tries to. Yeah, that's true. No, he doesn't use them.
He never throws a Pokeball out and summons a Pokemon. This whole movie. Holy shit!
He's done, I think. He's
done
He's
with
done.
Pokemon. He's done as a Pokemon trainer. All he does is like chase things around.
It's, I guess, more just about the journey for him now than it is about his friends,
Wow.
his true friends.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
And
always
actually, in the last Pikachu short we watched, Bulbasaur and Squirtle were not there.
That's true. I
They've
have
been long
noticed
gone.
that
Sorry.
in none of these movies has anyone like caught a Pokemon, like found a Pokemon, threw a Pokeball at it, and caught it, which is a misstep, right? Like, what if there are people like us who are only watching the movies? We're missing a
True.
huge chunk of what Pokemon is.
That's very true.
All right. I didn't dislike this movie. I thought of the Pokemon movies, it was one of the more entertaining ones. It was 15 minutes too long for sure.
Yeah.
They should have found a way to end it once Jirachi got to Farina. There should have just been maybe like a brief showdown with what's his dick, and then it was over, because the Groudon stuff was so boring. It was just this like long, boring action sequence where the stakes felt low and I didn't care, and they just kept repeating the same things over. Like, oh, somebody's falling. Oh, now Flygon caught him. Oh, somebody's fighting with Flygon, and like it was just the same shit over and over. It was really boring, and I couldn't bring myself to care about it. But I kind of liked Jirachi. I was so upset at the beginning of this movie that we lost the best of them. We lost Misty, and we had to keep Brock. But
Yeah. Good.
I didn't dislike May and Max. May was kind of like a whatever character. She didn't do much in this movie. But Max was kind of, I liked Max. I thought he was kind of sweet. And I liked Jirachi I thought it was like a cute little Pokemon character. I didn't hate this movie at all. There were obviously things about it that I thought were fucking crazy or absurd, but even after talking about it, like it is definitely a far cry from maybe some of the stuff you want in a Pokemon movie, but it was totally watchable. How about you, Ashleigh?
I don't know. This one was slightly more entertaining than the others. I don't know why. Like, I genuinely can't pinpoint a reason as to why this one. I think because it was less cluttered. I think
Right.
most of the other movies were just cluttered with like several plots and on top of plots on top of plots. And with this, you had something that was a little more simplistic and maybe, I guess, a little more like minimalistic almost. But
That's such a good point. There was very little in this movie. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
no, go ahead.
you really triggered some. I thought of you explained an emotion of mine that I was having that I didn't realize, which is I didn't get. I was never insanely confused
Right.
during this movie the way I have been during every Pokemon movie so
Right.
far. Where I'm like, I don't know why what's happening is happening. At this point, in this movie, I knew why everything was happening at every point.
And my assumption is that there were new writers for this one film.
Right.
And I mean, because of all the changes and everything that happened, and they sort of cut the fat and got straight to like just like a single linear plot, which is exactly what all the other films needed, instead of just like literally throwing every plot into the pot.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason I enjoyed it, was because it wasn't like this massive jumble of action, and it was just a single story happening and unfolding.
Yeah.
And of course we had those side plots of like, you know, the backstory of Diane the butler.
The butler.
I also said Diane. Is it Diana or Diane?
It's Diane.
Diane from
Diane.
Cheers.
Okay, cool. And we had that small backstory, but it wasn't like 3 of those, which happens in all the other movies, where you're getting like all these side characters lives like put back into the film. So that's the reason like I think I enjoyed this more, because it was very simple and just easy to digest.
Right.
And yeah, I think so. It's like it wasn't like something that I would say that because I think saying like I really like this movie is very strong, but it was at least more tolerable than the rest.
That's I agree completely.
I don't.
So do you guys want to rank these things? Do you want to do our rankings?
Christ.
This is the everyone's favorite part.
No, I don't remember what movies we've watched so
I don't
far.
remember anything.
I have a list of them here. Should I use it or should we try to do it by memory?
So I would put Celebi at number 1.
Okay.
I would put Mewtwo Strikes Back at number 2.
Okay.
Pokemon the first movie at number 3. Latios and Latias.
Okay.
This one. And then Pokemon 2000.
You're missing the Spell of the Unknown.
Spell of the Unknown.
And yeah.
That goes dead center.
Okay. Ashley, do you want to do yours or do you want?
Okay, so I'll go real quick. So I think this would be 1.
Okay. Whoa, this is 1.
Damn.
Well, yeah, it's the most enjoyable out of the rest of them.
Okay.
This is 1. I think Celebi would be 2.
Mm-hmm.
Enya would be 3. I think Mewtwo Strikes Back would be 4. Mike One Returns would be 4. 5 would be Latios.
Okay, yeah.
Would be the uncle and the aunts. 6 would be what's the other one we saw?
Pokemon. You're
the
missing
first
movie in 2000.
Oh, okay, good. They're both really bad. So so 6 would be the first movie and 7 would be 2000.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna go. Number 1 is Celebi's Nasty Nest.
Okay.
Number 2 is Jirachi Wishmaker.
Sriracha.
Then The Spell of the Unknown. Then Mike One Returns. Then the first movie. Then Latios and Latias. Latios and Latias was pretty. There was just a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
And it couldn't...
True.
Okay, yeah. And then Pokemon the Movie 2000 is the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree on that one,
That's,
right?
Yeah, I love that we've all at least got the same least favorite
we all
Pokemon
hate
movie.
Pokemon the Movie 2000 the most. All right, well that was Pokemon Jirachi Wishmaker.
Sriracha.
Sriracha.
Dishmaker.
Sriracha Wishmaker. Available at the local gas
Exactly.
So, everybody, I hope you voted, and I hope we are living in a slightly better America than we were in a week ago. And if we're not, I hope we're all about to take to the streets and start screaming and yelling. Or we've probably been doing that already,
A lot.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is very stressful doing
Yeah.
an episode immediately before Election Day.
I know. And knowing that people
And
are going to hear
knowing
this
that-
after it's going to have happened. So why don't we'll just say a normal goodbye. Make sure you're tweeting train facts at Ash Stoneman.
Please keep them coming.
Make sure you're letting us know, what was the question we had today?
Or noodles bread, and it's not.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, make sure
let us
you
know our
tweet
noodles
us
bread.
our noodles bread. Let us know whether noodles bread is noodles and whether peanut butter jelly is sauce.
It's not.
And email us at theveryworstpodcast@gmail.com. Tweet at us at theveryworstpod on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. All this shit.
Send us love letters. We'll get a P.O. box. Send
Send us a goddamn love letter.
all of your love poems. Send us your selfies, your Polaroid selfies.
Send us.
Yeah, which one of us has the sexiest voice?
Yes. Which one of us has the sexiest voice?
Here's a question.
Let's hear it.
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, and
Yeah.
somebody recently complained on my Twitter feed about people on podcasts that make wet mouth sounds. Is
Okay.
that? Do you guys know if that's a thing that I do?
Supposedly there is a dysphoria
Misophonia.
where there are certain people that have like to hearing other people eat or hearing hearing people's mouth sounds drives them absolutely crazy.
The thing is, I have
And a lot of those people don't realize that is a specific disorder that they have, and they think that everybody shares that.
Well, the thing is that I have a couple of friends who actually have this, and it literally makes them angry, like as if the person is doing it intentionally to upset them.
Yeah, apparently, like one of the biggest complaints that podcasts and radio shows get, besides the fact that all women's voices are shrill, which is that's a thing that like I'm not saying that.
That was your opinion.
Besides getting that complaint constantly, the other thing that radio shows and podcasts get a lot is like complaints by people with misophonia who hate hearing wet mouth sounds or people eating or whatever.
Do you think people dislike me because of
your wet mouth sounds?
The sounds I make?
Do you think you make wet mouth sounds?
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I've listened to the podcast. I think I genuinely think I make a few of those noises and without realizing it. So if you're angry, you can tweet at me and I'll block you.
Yeah, let us know if we have wet mouth sounds and if you have misophonia.
That's what I was trying to get at. It's at Pat Reber. Yeah. If I'm making wet mouth sounds, please let me know. I don't know what that
We're asking so much from you guys when really we just need more people to listen is like the only thing. That's like all that we really need from you guys is we need more people to listen. We need more listeners. There's so few of you at this point.
How many are there?
but-
There are 13 now?
Day one downloads is like, maybe I should cut this out, but day one downloads is like 18. And then
cool.
and then like all of our episodes eventually get up to the mid 20s, except for some which get up to the 50s. So that's really low.
Yeah, if you're listening, tell your siblings, tell your mom,
don't tell your dad,
get everyone,
but tell your siblings and your mom. Tell everyone at school.
Yeah.
Tell everyone in your in the spaceship that you occupy. Like if you're on the space station, probably
your dorm
some
room.
of you.
your 8th grade class.
In your 8th grade
all of your social clubs.
Any of you that are underground, that live in an underground community.
Here's another thing. Let us know what our key demographic is.
Yeah, let us.
We're not sure if you're astronauts or 8th graders. So.
All right.
I was thinking more in like geriatrics.
So we'll be back next Tuesday to discuss the final Pikachu short for a while. There's not another Pikachu short for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Jesus,
10,
we're
11.
going to be doing this for so long.
There's not another
Fucking
Pikachu short for
Christ.
11 movies.
No.
So we're gonna be down. No more Pikachu shorts for a while, except for next week where we're gonna discuss Gotta Dance.
Is it Pikachu Gotta Dance?
No, it's
Or
called
just
Gotta Dance
Gotta dance.
with an exclamation point at the end. So
Cool.
we'll see you guys next week. We'll talk about Gotta Dance.
Is that the name of a Pokemon?
and
Gotta Dance.
in the meantime,
Wow, that's not unlikely.
in the meantime, maybe we should take this moment to try and figure out what like a good outro.
Bye.
Bye.